Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Reason We Learn. I'm your host, Deb Philman. At The Reason We Learn, we aspire to be part of the solution. The purpose of this show is to take a good, honest, potentially painful look at the way kids are being educated. We know we can do better, and this is where we'll talk about how. Let's learn something. What is education? Seems like a simple question, right? But I bet you have to stop and think about it. I'll tell you what it's not. It's not schooling. You can go to school for 13 years, 17 years, 20 years, doesn't matter. It does not necessarily follow that you will come out an educated person. I mean, you might be well schooled in certain things, but it doesn't mean you're educated. Here's what I mean by that. Education, to me, is knowing how to learn pretty much anything you need to know. And I don't mean you're going to be good at everything that you seek to learn, and I don't even mean that you're going to learn it well enough to do whatever it is that learning would help you do. But it does mean that you'll know how to ask questions and get answers. You'll know whom to go to and what to ask. And then when you get the answers, you know what further questions to ask, of whom, and what to do with that information, and so on. In essence, being educated means having a good foundation for life on Earth. Knowing how to survive all by yourself without somebody coming and making it possible, giving things to you. If you were dropped in the woods by parachute with nothing, if you were educated, you could probably figure out how to survive. And you might say, but Deb, then I'd need all kinds of survival skills, and I need to know about weather, and I need to know about stars, and I need to know about how to find water, and Yes, that's true. Why wouldn't you want to know those things? Why wouldn't you? Because you don't have to know them now? Because today they're not necessary? Because you can pick up your smartphone after you've plugged it into the wall to get electricity, and then you can start searching for how to do that? Want to bet? Would your average 10 or 11-year-old know what questions to ask of the phone? An educated 10-year-old would. And obviously I don't expect every little kid to be so well educated you could drop them in the middle of the woods and they'd survive. Of course not. But if you've made it all the way through 13 years of something called education, never mind 17 years, don't you think you should at least know that stuff? What the hell else good was it? I mean, so let's say you come through all of that and you know how to, talk with other people who know about this very niche little topic, or you know how to write code. You know how to write code. I can write code. Super. Once upon a time, somebody might have said, I know how to stand at position 3 at the factory and put the widget A on with the widget B. It's just more widgets. But you're still at a little seat at a desk, probably in some code farm somewhere or whatever. Or maybe not. Maybe you're writing unique code. Doesn't matter. You know that. Do you know what you would do if suddenly the computer went away? There was no power. Nobody needed code. What would you do? How would you survive? How could you independently function without an entire system around you to provide for you, to bring you the food, to just make it possible for you to continue breathing? And I'm leaving out things like, oh, you got cancer and injury. I'm just talking about your otherwise healthy person living on the planet. What do you do? Education gives you the core information to help you do that. You could survive. at least 24 hours. Let's just say that, at least 24 hours. You could figure it out. You wouldn't panic. Or at a minimum, you'd be able to figure out like where to go, what to do, what would my next step be. You wouldn't just be sitting there under a tree crying. And that might sound extreme to you. You might say, that's a bit much, Deb. That's a lot to expect from education. Is it though? Once upon a time, in the United States of America, the vast majority of children were taught exactly these things. They did Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, whatever. Even in school, they were taught the basics, the fundamentals, pretty early on, how to read a map, how to look at a compass. These things were taught. These kids were empowered to be little independent, surviving humans. And then, ironically, were sheltered emotionally and psychologically from conversations about the kinds of forces and the kinds of things that might land them in a position where they need to read the compass or solve a problem like, hunger. We've got it backwards now. We're not teaching the kids any of those personal survival skills or, ability to feel strong and empowered in their own bodies and their own selves. But we're teaching them all about all of the oppression and threats and people who are, they have to align and they have to form groups and they have to, like they're at war right now when they're not. So they're withdrawn and they recoil and they seek out what group to provide them safety. We're not nudging them towards independence. We're not nudging them towards adulthood. We're nudging them backwards to permanent infancy in a bigger body with some very niche skills. Very niche. You can do this. You can write code. You can sweep floors. You can do this. You can do that. Whatever it is. You can make coffee at Starbucks. You can drive a car. You can pack a box. You can carry the box from the car that you drove to the house that ordered it, etc. So I put this question to you today on a Monday morning. What is education? You can disagree with me. That's totally fine. But come up with your own definition and be very sure that it aligns with the one that they use at the place where you send your child every day, ostensibly to get one. Be very sure of that. Because I can assure you it's not a whole bunch of competencies, social competencies. It's not, you can say, well, how are you going to know how to talk to people, whatever? It's like, oh, I don't know. Maybe the parents could demonstrate that, model that. Maybe the teachers could just model that in their existence with the kids, just talking to them and being polite and maybe taking them places and, having interactions with other humans. That might do it too. But you can't read about social competence as a child and get it. You don't do little exercise and fill in little forms and make plans and fill out diagrams and draw pictures about social competency. You either, live it or you don't, and it happens organically. But what else? What else? We're going to know about struggle. We're going to know about power and privilege. We're going to know about gender. To what end? So you can become increasingly dissatisfied with the body that you were born in. That's empowering. So you can feel like if you don't match a certain stereotype, something's wrong with you. So we can pathologize all of childhood. What happens when you take that kid and drop them in the middle of the woods? Are they educated? Or are they schooled in very specific thought patterns and belief systems that don't serve them very well, but they might serve people very well who would like to harness them like little human cogs for use, because they're a bundle of neuroses, a bundle of fears, a bundle of rage. Just something when you think about, what is education? And other than that, I want you to have a great Monday. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As always, please like, share, and subscribe if you appreciate the content. I do appreciate it greatly.